Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Universal Journeys show. I am one of your hosts, Donny Winter, and I am joined by Reverend Brenda L. Bates. Follow your heart, for only you know which path is right for you. Universal Journeys is about how spirituality intersects with nearly every other aspect of our lives, even when we do not see it or realize it. Creativity and expression are our connections to the spiritual energy many seek to understand, and our identity is forged through this process. Universal Journey seeks to help and illuminate the different intersections between creativity, spirituality, and identity in order to empower and enlighten. Tonight, our topic is Be My Valentine. You will have to bear with us. We are having a few technical difficulties. The Super Bowl is happening right now, so there are a hell ton of people on the internet streaming things. So if for some reason we have a kerfuffle and we're desperately trying to get a hold of one another, just consider it part of the entertainment. It'll totally be okay. We totally got this. Hello, Brenda dear.
Hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Yay!
Yay! I have no idea what's been going on, but hey, we're here and talking about Valentine's in itself. It's a phenomenal love fest, if you want to call it that. And it's one that there for a few centuries, but I don't know if we actually know the origins. Most people know that Saint Valentine's is or whatever, but really that's not where it started. I don't know what type of stuff that you've heard. I mean, Donnie, you can help with that process, but
Well, all I know is that it involves Catholicism somehow, saint, somebody. Other than that, all I know is that it is a Hallmark holiday and that it is often overhyped with commercialism and things like that.
well, and that's true. And the interesting thing about it does start with the Catholic Church and Catholicism. What's interesting about it is there was three different Saint Valentines. And there are several different places that St. Valentine's relics are, to include where the Pope has his Mass at Santa Maria Cathedral there, where he has his Mass every once in a while, which I find that quite interesting, just because of being the process of love and being called Santa Maria, for instance,
Hmm.
with the female aspect of it. But really where it came from the pagan festival, and it was celebrated on February 15th, and it's called a Lupricia, and it was for fertility. It was a fertility festival dedicated to Faunus, the Roman god of agriculture. And also, it was also well known as Roman founders for Romulus and Remus. So it's another cover up from the Catholic Church to say, hey, we don't want the pagans, doing this festival. And so we're going to create it and make it ours. I mean, not create it, but make it ours and say, okay, now they're going to celebrate this no matter what. So let's make it a Catholic holiday, So, but it really began with members of Lupricia, an order of Roman priests, would gather at a sacred cave where the infants Romulus and Remus were the founders of Rome. They were believed to have been cared for by a she-wolf or a lupa. And the priest would sacrifice a goat for fertility and a dog for purification. Which means to me, when a dog is loyalty, so they want people to be loyal to them. They would then strip the goat's hide into strips, dip them into the sacrificial blood, and take them to the streets, gently slapping both women and crop fields with the hide, which is kind of gross to me. It's like, ugh. But, and they say it was far from fearful. Roman women welcomed the touch of the hides because what it was is they believed it made them more fertile in the coming year, which that's basically what the fertility aspect of it is. Let's see here. Where is it? Okay. And then later in the day, according to legend, all the young women in the city would place their names in a big urn. The city's bachelors then would come and choose a name and become paired with for the year with that woman. And then at times, a lot of times, they would end up being married. So that's like, okay. So you put your name, in these little urn and stuff like that, and say, okay, these guys come up, and that's of course after they've been slapped with a sheepskin, with blood on it, like blah. And then this guy would go over there and pull out a name, and they would happily go off and and be husband and wife without all the ceremony type of thing. So that's quite interesting. So
that does sound very interesting.
and that's kind of how it started. So Valentine's Day, like any other holiday that's been, known through Christianity, started out with pagans and what they've done. And so why is it so hard for us to accept another individual's religion, especially when we use their celebration to say, hey, it's ours? Really? That's crazy.
Right. My question for you, Brenda, is, are there any current ceremonies or rituals in the church that involve Valentine's Day today? Because to my knowledge, I don't think there are any ceremonies in the church right now involving it. I could be wrong.
Yes, actually there is, and I'm trying to remember what it is. But they did celebrate something, or today's Sunday. They did celebrate something today, and they do that. They bless crops. They they bless crops for fertility, and then at harvest time they also go through another ceremony. They don't necessarily call it that, but that's exactly what it is. And I don't recall what that particular one is for today, though I suppose I could look it up on the internet here.
Yeah, if you want. Well, while you're doing that, I will just talk a little bit about my own impressions of Valentine's Day. Honestly, I have never really made that religious or spiritual connection to Valentine's Day. For me, Valentine's Day was always that loathsome holiday that arrived every year, and either I worked on those days or I bought myself wine and candy and things like that. But it's interesting to learn more of these things about Valentine's Day, because when we kind of lose ourselves in the whole commercialization of the holiday, kind of like we do with the commercialization of Christmas and Easter and even Halloween. But we don't remember, and we don't realize that there's actually a history behind these different holidays that we celebrate every year. These holidays are culturally ingrained within our society. So I think the information that we're putting out there today is especially important because it may help people look at Valentine's Day from a different perspective, and not simply just it's a Hallmark holiday perspective.
Well, the other thing too, it's also Beltane, and it goes to some of the other things that is for fertility. I mean, Beltane is a Celtic fertility festival, so it's just one of those things. Is why stop it? And then, of course, one of the reasons why the Catholic Church had to go with Saint Valentine is to bring in the flock in the fold and say, hey, come on, if you're going to celebrate, we're going to name it something else so that more and more people will follow along, like the dog that they sacrificed, to be faithful. So it's not the first time that they've done that. I mean, even Mardi Gras is this week, and the Catholics have something to do with that as well. I mean, they're like, no, you can't do that without us giving them the blessing, and then we're going to call it this, and really is, it's for fertility. It's the springtime. It's starting to get to where it starts to become warmer and warmer, and then everything starts to bud, and people have, I don't know what you want to call it, they get cabin fever, but yet they're out there and they want to do something different, and they want to love. And I mean, we all go through that phase, death and rebirth. This is the rebirth process.
Right.
So,
Well, my question is, how the heck did Valentine's Day become what it is today? Is it just commercialization, or was there some other variable? Was it something that historically people wanted to forget? Like, I feel like it's very nebulous as to why we're at this point with
well,
Valentine's Day.
well, again, it goes back to that fertility process. It goes back to the rituals and the festivals that have been done a long time ago to represent, to honor that new the new age coming, not new age, but the new life that's come to being, because uh, it goes way back into the 270 AD, and they got the some of the other things in here too. But that's, yeah, it really didn't become very popular or as popular commercialized until the 1900s. So
Hmm.
you're going from the 1700 where they started the rituals, and even earlier than that, but it became more and more popular, more widespread, if you want to call it that. And then the 1800s, it started to spread out from the European countries to ours, because the Europeans, they came over here to the New World and to set up things, and so they brought their belief system over here. And then during that process, they're celebrating. It's almost like Easter. Easter is another pagan holiday, but it's like a cover up. Um,
Oh, the Europeans. They just love to enhance everything, don't they?
well, and for good reason, it brings it around. For me, I don't understand why we have to say this belongs to this or that belongs to that. If we all are on one and accept one another, it really doesn't matter. It's a joyous time. People want to be out there. They want to celebrate. Why not let them?
I completely agree with you. Well, it's just nowadays, I mean, this seems to be less of an issue with Valentine's Day and more of an issue like with Christmas, but or the Christmas holidays. People want to, adapt that, holiday for their own belief system, but they receive so much criticism because of it. Like, for example, remember Starbucks choosing to remove Christmas stuff from their cups, and everyone flipped out over it when they simply just wanted to be, you know, they wanted to equalize everyone and not have favoritism toward one religion over another. But I think people often kind of use their religious beliefs and use their holidays as like weapons against one another in order to advance what they want to have. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. And, I think it goes back to the loyalty thing and fertility. And this is actually what it says here on the history.com site. It says Lucretia survived the initial rise of Christianity, and but was outlawed as it was deemed unchristian at the end of the 5th century, when Pope Glacius or whatever declared February 14th St. Valentine's Day. It was not until much later, however, that the day became definitively associated with love. During the Middle Ages, it was commonly believed in France and England that February 14th was the beginning of birds' mating season, which is another aspect of it, which added to the idea that the middle of Valentine's Day should be a day of romance. Valentine's greetings were popular as far back as the Middle Ages through written Valentines, though written Valentines didn't begin to appear until the 1400s. The oldest known Valentine still in existence today was a poem written in 1415 by Charles, Duke of Orleans, to his wife while he was imprisoned in the Tower of London following his capture at the Battle of the Agincourt. The greetings are now part of a manuscript collection of the British Library in London and England. Several years later, it was believed that King Henry V hired a writer named John Lindgate to compose a Valentine note to Catherine Wallace. So, I mean, it's been out there and popular for a very long time. Now, part of the thing is, with it being commercialized, it almost makes people feel guilty if they don't do something for their loved one. And I've run across and I've had discussions with some younger generation, not so much the older ones, but the younger generation that says, I don't want candy. I don't want flowers. I would much rather have something else. And they're getting to the point that they're saying now that it's too commercialized. And it is a Hallmark holiday. But it makes everyone else who doesn't have a partner feel sad that they don't have something going on or someone giving them something special.
Well, this is what cats are for.
Well, cats even reject you too sometimes.
Yeah, but at least they're cute while they do it.
Yeah, they are.
And if the cat doesn't work, well, then I have a glass of wine with it. So works every time.
Hey, sure does.
Sorry,
But,
I'm being silly tonight.
yeah, don't worry about it. It's fine. But it's just one of those things, and that's why we put on the subject line, a happy Valentine's question, because it's not always about being happy. Sometimes it's about loneliness. Sometimes it's, about, okay, it's guilt ridden because you have to get something for your Valentine's. And that's not necessarily true. You can do anything throughout the whole year for an individual to show them your love.
Mm-hmm.
Now, for me, I'm a romantic, so I love those things. Give me candy, give me roses, give me whatever, and I would reciprocate. So those are things I like. Now, non-romantics, it doesn't matter to them. You could get them a toolbox or something like that, or or and I mean, because we have some young that I work with, and they would much rather have, say, like, I'm just going on a limb here, a bow, because they're hunters. They like to hunt. And back in the day, you didn't see too many women hunters. Yes, in the Renaissance time period, yes, you saw that, but society didn't like that process, because most times masculinity took over. And it's like, we can do that. We're the hunter provider gatherers, and but women are just as equally as good as the men are with that. So they much rather have something that's practical and that won't die.
This is true. I'm sorry, I loved we're the hunters and gatherers.
But I mean, that, and it kind of alludes to what your last video was. I just watched it, and it's like, wow, that makes so much sense that the way it used to be should not be that way any longer.
Yeah, that situation really concerned me. For anyone listening right now, I figured I would explain my video really quickly. That way there's context. Um, Recently, there was this group of neo-masculinist activists. For those of you who do not know what neo-masculine is, it is a term used for men who want to go back to the old patriarchal ways where men are dominant and women are subservient. And it's been in the news a lot lately because this group basically wants to legalize rape in private homes, and which obviously is completely unacceptable. Like, rape should not be legalized in any context. Like, and it's been causing a lot of hullabaloo because we've come so far when it comes to gender equality, and why would we regress that far? So and I never really thought about that in the context of holidays like this, Brenda. That was an interesting point.
Well, because you're if you're going to lure someone into your house, this would be a good time to do that, for that type of thing, which is not good. I mean, that is not good. But you do have people who do that. And it's like, well, I gave you something, so now you have to give me something. And if the men or the women choose not to participate, they get upset, then they do crazy stuff like what you just suggested.
Hmm. Well, see, what concerns me though, Brenda, is that this type of movement gets a lot of support. And like I'm just mind boggled as to why that is the case. But I think it's something that we need to worry about. It's something that we need to worry about every day because there are people like this out there.
Right, and it goes back to control. I mean, women are really taking, strides of becoming more independent and, saying, "Okay, I can do this." And they get out there and they do this. Where if they go back, the men think that if it goes back to a way that um the women being subservient, then there won't be all of this stuff that women are trying to become powerful and independent. And but reality is, if the balance is there between masculinity and femininity, you're going to work in harmony, you're going to live in harmony. So why try to dominate one or the other? Don't get me wrong, guys, I'm not blaming it all on you, because there are women out there that do the same thing.
Hmm. Well, and see, the thing is, people like this group, I think the group is called Return of Kings. People like them think that femininity is emasculating men. And I just want to say that this mindset damages masculinity as much as it damages femininity, because by establishing those archaic stereotypes, you're basically telling men that they should not express themselves, that they should not feel, that they should only banter and do sporty things. Like, I'm sorry, that is not what our culture is like anymore. So why keep up with the times. Like, we're progressing in a forward momentum, we're not going backward. Ugh.
No, but we shouldn't go backwards anyways. But the thing is what he's suggesting, or that group is suggesting, is already happening in some areas of the world. And and I do mean some areas of the world, because look at, and this is just an example, the Muslim communities do similar things to this, like this.
Mhm.
Okay, because what's behind closed doors is they could do whatever they want, even not behind closed doors. It is, and they'll say that they're doing this to protect the woman. My foot, they're making them subservient.
It's interesting how they try to paint things deceptively. I know when I was reading that website that for that group, they were basically saying that, well, masculinity and femininity have to be in this dominant and submissive relationship in order to create proper families. I'm sorry, any like families can be created regardless the degrees of, masculinity and femininity the two parents have. Like, gay parents have families, lesbian parents have family. In some families, one could argue that the woman is more dominant than the man, or, vice versa. What does it matter? As long as the parents are responsible, as long as the child is being cared for in a moral fashion, why should the gender stereotype or gender identity necessarily matter?
Is because they're losing control. You know, that's the issue. They're losing control. And if you really look at the families who are gender related, say two guys or two gals or whatever, and they have families, they actually treat those children and prepare into, oh geez, I just lost the word. Sorry, guys. Um, but they treat the children and they take care of the children a lot better than many households do with a parent, or a male and female parent. So it's like, really, guys, get over it. We've had these for eons and eons and eons, and then all of a sudden it's like, boop, nope, we got to have this within this framework. It doesn't always work that way. We are not male, female together type of thing. And this is really something that we need to think about, because love is love. God loves us no matter what, no matter who we are, what we are, or how we are. He still loves us. So why use that frame of mind to control, to stomp out things that we don't think or they don't think is right?
Hmm.
I disagree with that. The thing is love. It is love. Valentine's Day is a great day to express love. And love is where it's at. This is where we need to really love one another, not separate like faiths have done in the past, but to show love, to show unconditional love, no matter how that individual is. And then maybe one day we'll get there, but in the meantime, all we can do is just to go forward and say, I love you, I accept you for who you are.
Hmm. I think another important function of Valentine's Day is because I know a lot of people say, well, why love on Valentine's Day? We should be loving every day, which is true. But when you think about it, though, not everybody no, realizes that. And I feel like Valentine's Day exists in order to remind people that they should be caring and cherishing everyone else every single day, not one day out of the year. So it almost serves like a dual purpose. Yeah.
Right, right. Well, and that goes back to my cat's loving me right now, kind of going "Brr, brr, brr," anyhow.
Hi,
But
Misty.
that goes back to some of the other holidays as well. I really do believe that the Celtics and other religious faiths actually had something going on there when they celebrated the equinoxes. They celebrated Beltane. They celebrated harvest. They celebrated all these things because in that way they kept with tradition every um every day of the year. So they didn't forget what was important to them. They didn't forget to take care of Mother Nature, because Mother Nature is the one that provided them with all the food and everything else. So you have to give back, and we've gotten to in the society for a very long time of not giving back and not caring.
Hmm.
So the rituals and the festivities is really there, is needed. And because we don't do it often enough, we like, okay, that's just one day a year. We get this commercialization with Valentine's Day, with Christmas and Easter and all the rest of that stuff.
Yeah, well, I think it's especially important for children to be exposed to Valentine's Day as well because it teaches them to be considerate of other people. It teaches them to compliment, to take into consideration another person's feelings and things like that. Like I remember when I was in I think it was elementary school. When I was in elementary school, I would always get so excited about Valentine's Day because I would always get little Valentines from people with them saying really nice things to me, and I think that affirmation, I think that quality of Valentine's Day is especially important. But the thing is, I keep hearing that Valentine's Day really isn't emphasized to kids anymore, which is kind of sad to me.
It is because I remember growing up in Valentine's Day, we did little cards and we got some little candy hearts and stuff like that with a little bit of sayings on it. That did make it a special time. And mothers would bake cupcakes and candies or whatever it is, cookies, that they would take it in and share that. So you might have a point there, a very good point actually, because that shows hey, we can do this. So I don't know if it's gotten the school system has gotten away from it or not. I've been away from school for, I don't want to say how many years.
Well, hun, I have to. I have to. But I just think it's something important to consider because a lot of people really underestimate Valentine's Day. A lot of people assume that it should just be about, romantic love. But I really think that it should be about all forms of love, like the love of family, the love of friendship, the love of, you know, loving pets, for example, like me loving my plants. My plant is right up here. I don't know if you can see it, probably not.
No.
But I feel like it's just something to remind us.
Yep.
Well, it looks like we are coming up close to the end of our show here. Wow, that this went by so quickly. It's kind of crazy. In the future, we may consider doing longer shows. Well, first and foremost, Brenda, did you have anything else to say about Valentine's Day before I wrap everything up?
Well, all I can say is about Valentine's Day is I love it because I'm a hopeless romantic, and There's going to come a time when that's going to, transpire a little bit more in my life. So don't give up the ship. Just keep going. Love everything. Follow your heart. For only you, for only it knows what path is right for you. But anyhow, I got to get all that stuff. But definitely, love is where it's at, and this is what we need to put more, bring more into our lives. And you know, go Panthers. I love them. Follow your heart. You know which path is right for you. Have a great week.
Okay, if you guys want to keep following our show, please subscribe to our channel. Share our shows around if you would be so kind, and also give us a like on Facebook. You can find the link to our Facebook page in the comment section below. Anyway, you guys have a good night. Thank you for watching, and like Brenda said, follow your heart rule. You know which path is right for you.
See you
Have a good night.
later.
Bye. Love you, Brenda.
Love you too.